Hi, my name's Lewis, and welcome to the Kill Team Preview Show. War rages eternal in the 41st millennium as we take a look at the amazing new edition of Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team. I'll be joined by experts from the design studio to talk through all the things you'll want to know: lore, miniatures, and gameplay. We will spare no details. But before we get into it, we've got something pretty awesome to show you. Wasn't that amazing? Elite skirmishers in the grim darkness of the far future never looked so good. Don't worry if you missed it, or if you want to catch that again, we're going to be showing that video at the end of this preview. Right now though, I'm joined by Wade and Elliot from the Warhammer Studios to chat about the new edition of Kill Team. Guys, welcome to the show.
Hi. Hey, thanks man.
Super excited to have you guys. So, a new edition of Kill Team. So this isn't seasonal content like Gallo Dark or Nightmare that we've seen previously. This is a brand new edition. So tell us a little bit about it.
Cool. So yeah, so it's a restart in a way. So we have all of our factions getting new rules. But what we've done is we've looked at the core rules from the previous edition, and we thought we're pretty happy with this. We like where Kill Team's at. And so what that means is that for veteran players, it's going to feel very familiar with some targeted improvements. But one of the big things we've done is we've made the game more accessible than ever before. So for new players getting on board, and for people that are maybe on the fringe of the game, it's going to be easier than ever to get stuck into skirmish combat.
Also, I'm super excited about it. Can I be really cheeky and ask, do we have like a rough idea of when this is going to be landing?
Yeah, I believe pre-order September, release in October, so not too far away.
Nice.
Yeah, that'll kick off the season for us. So we'll have a year's worth of content with that new edition as well. So yeah, lots to sink our teeth into.
Awesome.
Coming October.
Very good stuff. So we just saw that awesome cinematic as well, and I think I saw a giant gun in there. I think I did. So
you probably did.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So Wade, can you tell us a little bit about that? Tell us about the setting of the new edition now.
So the new box Hivestorm is set on the world of Volcus, which is in Imperium Nihilus in the Chalnath Expanse. We've taken the opportunity to look a little bit more at the ongoing war between the Tau Empire and the forces of the Imperium in that particular region of space. And that gun that you saw, that is the Great Gun, as it's known. Sacred Death, Massif Ballistus. So that forms the backdrop for an awful lot of the early stages of the war. There are various factions who'd quite like to be able to turn that earth-shattering power of the gun to their own ends. So you see an awful lot of different kill teams fighting in and around the environs of the Great Gun, where they can't quite commit full-scale forces to the war just yet.
Yeah, we saw some Astra Militarum in there as well. You tell us a bit about those.
So they're the Tempestus Aquilons.
Yes.
These are Tempestus Aquilons we're already familiar with. These are the special forces, essentially, of the Astra Militarum. And we know that they deploy by Valkyrie, they deploy by Gravshoot. These are specially trained, dedicated Tempestus Aquilon troops who fight with their Gravshoot. So they drop in, high insertion, and then they're fighting with specially modified war gear, cut down las carbines, hotshot las weapons that we associate with the Tempestus Aquilons, but modified for the sort of rapid strikes that these forces are famous for.
And we also saw some sort of like winged insectoid bringers of death. Who are they?
So these are the Vespids, Vespid stingwings, getting a bit of an update after best part of 20 years, I think, since we first saw them. These are auxiliaries of the Tau Empire, alien auxiliaries, going places that the Tau themselves can't go, kitted out with all sorts of wonderful weapons, facilitated by the Earthcast engineers of the Tau Empire. And you see a few developments from the neutron blasters that we first saw equipped on the Vespid stingwings of old, and there's a few tinkers and tweaks that the Earthcast engineers have made available to these Vespids to send them into the places that they can't quite send even the Pathfinder teams.
Amazing stuff, and we're going to be chatting loads more about that throughout the preview as well. Next up, let's check out what you can look forward to with the new edition. So that was Kill Team Hivestorm. Wade, what sort of experience are players in for with this?
So Kill Team is fast-paced, furious skirmish combat. It's quite different to the massed battles that you see on main Warhammer 40,000 battlefields. And we tried to capture that in the tone of the background of the presentation, or the fictions written in the present tense to really give you a sense of that immediacy, the really frenetic, fast-paced firefights that you get in these Kill Team games.
Nice. And you mentioned the weapon world of Vulcus earlier when we were chatting. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Okay, so it was a hive world, but it's developed this enormous defensive weapon that's really come to become identifiable part of the culture of the world, and the people of the world venerate it. There are enormous ceremonies associated with the preparing of the rounds and the firing of the gun, but it is a weapon that could be turned to all sorts of other uses if you were, an invading Tau force or an Orc force. So we've seen a few of the other forces that might take an interest in capturing the weapon for themselves, but there will be Imperial forces who are trying to make a claim for it themselves as well.
And as we've just seen there as well, like some of the contents in the box, it looks like an absolutely amazing offering. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, there's a lot of bang in this box.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of things in it for sure. So you get the two new teams, the Aquilons and the Vespid Stingwings, which are really exciting. We'll talk a little bit about them later. You get a brand new kill zone, which is the kill zone for the year, if you like. It's called Vulcus. Now this is a very dense city-like kill zone. And so lots of heavy terrain and two big dominant strongholds, which will naturally, the battle will often evolve around those two. And so it really feels like you're in a city fight. You get the new equipment upgrade pack, which is fantastic. So there's a list of universal equipment now, as well as faction equipment. And that universal equipment is obviously available to everyone. But things in there include terrain features. So you can take ladders and barbed wire and mines and heavy barricades. And so you can place all that in the kill zone as a choice thing. You can set it up as you want. And so it really adds to that dense feel of the kill zone, but also gives you players that sort of tactical flexibility, which is quite nice. There is a new mission pack, the Approved Ops mission pack. So some mission packs, there are various different ones in Kill Team. There's some in the core book, but the Approved Ops is our most up-to-date competitive way to play, if you like, and that's a seasonal thing. And so that's got some really nice changes for the year of competitive play, which is great. And then you've also got, obviously, the core book, which has all the new core rules, and you have what's called the Hivestorm dossier. So it's the book that goes with this release. It has the rules for those two teams, but it also has an exciting mission pack in called Airborne Assault. And so that's if you want to recreate a mission where everyone can parachute into the kill zone It's quite fun. You can do that. So you can have parachuting, space marines. You can have all kinds of attacker versus defender missions that have this asymmetry where one person's setting up to defend and the attacker's coming out of the sky to attack them. That's quite fun.
That's awesome. So what are some of the big headlines for this new edition then? Can you talk us through those?
Sure, yes. So I mentioned it earlier, accessibility is the main one.
Yeah.
So we've got some really exciting developments to make the game really easy to get into and really approachable. The first one is that all faction rules are now going to be for free online from day one. And so they will be our live source of rules, which is also really good for updates and things like that. It's just this living truth of documents, which is really nice. But if you wanted to check out a team and give it a go, you can literally just download it and see if it's for you before you go and pick up those models, which is really nice. So you no longer have to buy the books to use them. There will be cards to go with them if you want them as an optional thing, so you have your hard copy references. But all rules are online for free, which is really nice. The other thing we've done is we've reworked a lot of the language of the game, and so it's a lot more accessible for new players. Writing it for the 99%, and so the average person can pick it up and give it a go. But what's important is that it's still there for the 1% too. So what we've done is we've partitioned the rules quite nicely. The core rules are actually quite slimmed down and contained within one section. And then you have a key principles section, which is more of your advanced terms. So once you start to get a greater understanding of the game, you can refer to the key principles to sort of deal with those edge cases in those particular situations that don't arise all the time, which is really nice. And so that accessibility is one of the key changes for the edition. The other thing we've done is we put the kill back in Kill Team.
Great.
Most missions now have something called a kill op, whereby you get rewarded for being active and taking out enemy operatives. And as your kill grade goes up, you get more victory points. And so, I say getting stuck in and being aggressive now is definitely a feature, as it should be for a game of special forces where you have to kill each other. And so, especially with the way the game works with Conceal, where you can play defensively, that's going to create a really nice push and pull with your opponents, when to attack, when to be more defensive so they don't get the kills, that kind of thing. It's going to be really nice back and forth with the kill op.
Nice. And I know a ton of people are super excited to play this new edition. What sort of different ways are there to kind of experience the game?
So we have our standard way of playing, which is PvP, me against you type thing. But we also have a new feature we're really excited about, which is solo and co-op mode. Yeah. Okay. So this is going to do a few things. First of all, if you are teaching new people to play, sometimes it's not the best experience to say, I've played 150 games, come get smashed by me. That's not necessarily the best way to introduce someone. Yeah. And equally, you won't have the best experience if you're deliberately making mistakes to try and help them out. So co-op is a really nice way where you can play with someone against procedurally generated operatives, NPOs they're called, bad guys. Yeah. These bad guys are going to come at you, and then me and you could team up and we can take them down together, which is a really nice way of teaching people how to play. It's also going to give us a nice cinematic experience. So if me and you are teaming up against hordes of bad guys, which is quite fun. So let's say some poxwalkers or hormagaunts are running at us. I cover the left, you cover the right. We're going to gun them down and have that sort of hold out, defend the bunker type missions. And so it's going to give us a very different experience to the PvP you would get. And as I mentioned, we're also going to get some solo play modes. So this all works with solo as well, which is nice. And so if you're not in an active community, you don't get to play as often as you like, or you want to try out some new teams at home, or if that's just how you game, if you just like creating your own narrative and playing solo, it's all going to support that as well, which is really nice. And so we're going to support that with the quarterly releases, but there's also going to be loads of free downloads for mission packs to play the solo and cooperative modes. So we're really excited about that.
Next up, let's check out the Tempestus Aquilons. Yes, the Tempestus Aquilons spring into action and they are armed to the teeth. Wade, can you tell us a little bit about how the Astra Militarum fit into this setting now?
So Volcus is an imperial world, ostensibly. The Tau Empire have got their eyes on it, but the Imperium is sending in some of their best forces to make sure the Tau can't claim it without a fight. And they're sending in the special forces, and the Tempestus Aquilons are a special breed even within the elite of the Tempestus Scions. The Tempestus Scions are the special forces recruited from all over the worlds that the Astra Militarum recruits from, trained to an even higher standard than regular Astra Militarum troopers, and the Aquilons are trained experts in grav shoot insertion, so dropping in from Valkyries or orbital drops to be able to take the fight to anywhere that they need to be, so including the heights of the hive cities that we see in Volcus.
Nice, and they look absolutely amazing as well. So, like, Elliot, tell me about some of your top favourite features from these miniatures.
So they really capture that special forces with drop trooper feel. Yeah. So not only do they have these sort of nice grav shoots on their backs, but you don't have a lot of excess things hanging off them, which is obviously important for dropping out of a high altitude plane.
Yeah.
So little things like, for example, you can drop them with power packs on their guns rather than cables, because the cable flapping around getting in the way, that kind of thing. And then once they land, fire off the pack, they can discard it and then plug in their cables. Little things like that. They won't have sort of scabbards or pouches hanging off. They're all very streamlined, which really captures that drop forces feel, which is cool.
Can you tell me the difference between a Scion and an Aquilon?
So I guess the Aquilon is a more specialist.
Yes.
They're both highly trained special forces, elite humans. Yeah. But the Aquilons, their role is to drop in from the sky. And so whilst the Scions may be more flexible and could be maybe applied to different theatres, if you need a shock assault drop troop, there's no one better for the Astra Militarum than the Aquilons.
Nice. And in terms of gameplay then, how does that sort of apply when you're playing the game on the battlefield?
So really fun rules, drop insertion. Yeah. So essentially you have to set up 1/3 of your operatives on the table, but the remaining third can be set up above. And this may be in a Valkyrie, or like we saw in the trailer, it may be on the level above and they're dropping in through a hole in the roof type thing. But essentially they're off the table. And then for every third you do that with, so that would be 2/3 of your team, you can set up drop markers. And then as the game progresses, you slowly move up these drop markers closer, and then you have to remove one, but as in essentially you're zeroing in on where you're going to drop. And when you activate an operative that's above, they can either stay there or they can drop in. And so what this gives you is a very shock assault type team, where your opponent's like, are they coming in yet? I don't know. And so if your opponent pushes up too far, they can drop in with melter guns and melter bombs and really go in loud. Yeah. Drop hots, as one of their ploys is called. But also you can use it as quite a nice bluff threat type thing. Your opponent doesn't want to push too close because they might come in, and then you can just be patient and drop somewhere else. And so this sort of a very aggressive marker as it moves up means they have this very shock assault style, which is really, really nice.
Nice. Can you introduce us to some of the operatives and some of your favourites as well?
Sure, yeah. So there's quite a few. So for the elites, they also have some specialists that have a very particular role. Yeah. One is the Precursor, which is the melee fighter. So she can drop in straight into control range, straight into combat, which most of them can't, but she can, which is nice. So she can basically dagger out the sky, which is great. And then she can double strike, so that means she hits with 2 dice before you get to resolve one, which is very effective at assassinating things. And then she can dash away to safety afterwards. So she's a really, really cool assassin. The Grenadier is tooled up with all different kinds of grenades, including smoke and stun grenades for a support role, but their melter bombs, particularly fun if you drop in close to an enemy and ask them to hold the melter bomb primed, basically. Yeah. So if you really want something dead, spectacularly, a close drop with a melter bomb will do the job. You've also got the gunfighter, the gun-toting pistolier. This one's really cool. It can shoot 2 targets, but it can even use its pistols in melee, which is really nice. Cool, so it's a very flexible operative. And then, as you see in the trailer, the little skittering servo sentry. Yes. I think that's the servo skull from a former squad, I think, plugged into the sentry. This thing's more durable, but it's your gun turret. It can shoot twice. It can lay down mass fire with its last volley. You can also take a flame or a grenade launcher, so it's quite flexible. So if you want to go loud, bring the servo sentry in and just go bang. It's good. Nice.
That all sounds amazing. I cannot wait for them to arrive. Now, we've chatted about the Tempestus Aquilons, and I bet you're itching to find out about the Vespids. Don't worry, we've got your back. Check this out. The Vespid Stingwings burst onto the scene with a brand new look and a kill team too. Now Wade, what are the Vespid and what is their relationship with the Tau Empire?
So the Vespids are an insectile species of aliens used as auxiliaries by the Tau Empire. They were discovered reasonably early in the expansion of the Tau Empire, and their homeworld is a gas giant that produces these interesting crystals that we see as a feature of their weapons. The neutron blasters and derivations of that weapons technology that the Tau Earthcast have made available to their trusted favoured allied auxiliaries. And that also allows the Tau Empire to send these winged creatures in to places that regular Tau couldn't go, even the Kroot couldn't go, and conduct particular operations that the other honoured representatives of the Tau Empire can't quite conduct. And if some of those non-Tau lives are lost in the process, that's very regrettable altogether, but it does preserve some Tau lives. And we've seen the Communion Helm, the really distinctive looking Tau piece of war gear on the helmet of the Strain leader that leads those Vespids. Now, there's all sorts of scurrilous rumours that maybe that's some sort of mind control device, but that's never been proven. The Tau Ethereal cast definitely insists it's just to facilitate communication between the Tau Empire and the Vespids.
Of course, of course. And these Vespids look absolutely awesome as well. I imagine that people are going to have so much fun painting these. What I want to know is, you've got your box, you've got your Vespids, what colours are you guys going for? What sort of scheme are we going for here?
I'll probably go kill team orange.
Nice.
I bleed orange. I'm sorry.
That's fair, that's fair. What about you, Wade?
I like black and red things, so I'll probably work some black and red stuff into my scheme somehow.
Nice. I'm kind of similar with that. I was going to go for like a kind of waspy thing. That's what I was kind of going for there. And it's not the first time that we're seeing Vespids, is it, in the 41st millennium?
Yeah, that's right. There's some models from a long time ago.
Yeah.
These are now reinvented and readapted, and they're looking really cool. With sort of the modern technology you get and the modern design principles. They're super dynamic, big wings, flying around, perching on rocks, that kind of thing. So they really feel different and unique, especially if you compare them to other operatives. Yeah, they're going to be really nice.
It's great. They've had a proper glow up as well. So what's their sort of play style on the tabletop?
So as Wade mentioned, they have some really unique background,
Yeah.
and we've really leaned into that to make their rules super thematic and unusual. So the first one, I guess the easy one, they all fly. And so having that manoeuvrability is going to be one of their key features. One of the most mobile teams in the game, when they can dart around and get into places that other people can't. That's going to make them quite a glass cannon playstyle team though, because then they're not armoured up, they're just insectoid warriors. So whilst they're going to be very fast and very mobile and very good at shooting, which we'll talk about in a sec, they're not necessarily going to be able to take as many hits. So they're very much a glass cannon team. Now, the neutron weapons they all have, powered by their crystals, that is kind of integral to Vespid IP, and we've really tried to capture that. So first of all, the harmonics when the Vespids flap their wings, it powers up these crystals. And so we've made a rule for them whereby when they move, the guns actually get better. And so if you sort of stay up top and don't do much and just fire away, you're actually going to be less effective than if you're moving around and shooting. So it's going to create that mobile team that can fly, but also is much better when it does so because its guns get powered up. And the other thing is that they're insectile species, maybe quite go to more baser instincts. They'll swarm their opponents, that kind of thing. And so the Tau use the Communion Helms and other nefarious things potentially to sort of keep them control and put enact a bit of tactical knowledge on them, if you like.
Yeah.
So what we've done is we've done a system called Communion Points, okay? And so you'll generate Communion Points, and as a player, you're effectively the Tau handler, the person that's overseeing these Vespid, okay? And you'll then spend those points to put a bit of tactical knowledge on them. If you don't, they'll always have to attack or charge the closest thing, and they can't perform mission actions either, they'll be more aggressive, unless you spend these Communion Points. So that means that you have a very glass cannon team, very mobile, very, very good at shooting, but their drawback, if you like, is that you have to spend these Communion Points to really do the things you want to do. Sometimes you can just let them go and attack the closest thing, go for it, go kill whoever's close. But if you really want to maximise them, you're going to have to manage these Communion Points as the Tau handler to get the best out of them.
Nice. We've chatted a little bit about the team. Can you tell me some more about some of the operatives?
Sure. So first of all, we have the Shade Strain. That's the one with the experimental stealth technology called a ghost rig. Okay, and so this one can semi-go invisible, if you like. It's very difficult to target them, and what that means is that when they're more than 6 inches away from the active operative, they can't be targeted, which is really nice. If the enemy does get close, though, they have a nice neutron grenade to throw at them, so that's quite handy.
Lovely.
You have the Swarm Guard, which is the one with the flamer. This has a fun rule called Sky Torch. So when you fly over something, you can basically burn everything in a line that you flew over. So if you set up a really nice line, just flame everything as you go by, which is really nice. Then we have the Sky Blast, which is the one rocking a neutron-powered grenade launcher. So if the initial blast doesn't kill something, you place down a neutron fallout marker, which creates an area of radiation, which is then going to damage enemy operatives as the battle goes on, and it stays there for the rest of the battle. So if you fire it enough times, you can just start basically irradiating their side of the board, which is really cool.
Great. Well, those Vespids sound absolutely awesome. Guys, Wade, Elliot, thank you so much for coming in to chat to us about the newest edition of Kill Team. We really appreciate it. And thank you to you guys at home. Now, if you're just as excited as I am for Kill Team Hivestorm, make sure to go on the Warhammer community website for all the latest news and updates. That's all we got time for. We'll see you next time on the Warhammer Preview Show.